right. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all having a great time. So on to the next session. Are you curious about simplifying statistical analysis? Well, I am. We are about to embark on another insightful session in the Shiny for Good track about our Shiny applications. This one in particular is called CougarStats. So we have Michael Meyer, who will be telling us more about this application. He is a fourth-year computer science student at Mount Royal University. He began working on CougarStats in June of 2023 after receiving a research grant or research award, which was his first introduction to Shiny. So very exciting. I'm going to hand over to him now to tell us more about it.
Hi, everyone. Obviously, you can hear I woke up this morning with this lovely voice, so you'll just have to bear with me. But yeah, so my app is called CougarStats. It's designed for statistical data analysis. And so just a bit of background on that. So I am currently studying at Mount Royal University. I've been developing the app with my supervisor, Dr. Ashok, who works in the mathematics and statistics department. And so sort of in the world of statistical analysis software, you have proprietary options like SPSS, Minitab, and these typically cost hundreds of dollars for individual licensing. And I know Mount Royal spends thousands of dollars every year on licensing for statistical software. So the goal with this is to sort of provide a free open source platform independent alternative. And then also to expand on what those software are offering in terms of displaying output, workflows, showing all the work. So our goal really is to provide like a platform independent free tool for anyone to be able to use. We want to sort of simplify statistical learning and concepts to make it accessible for everyone. We want to show really detailed workflows so that when you're running analysis, all of the work that you need is sort of presented on a single page, and you're not having to flick through multiple tabs to do different calculations that are involved in a single analysis. And then to do this for as many topics as we can. Currently, we're hosting CougarStats at cougarstats.ca. So sorry. And the code is publicly available on GitHub. You can follow that repository link. The current topics that we're covering are descriptive stats, probability distribution, sample size estimation, statistical inference, and then simple regression and correlation analysis, which is at this point sort of everything you need to cover an introductory level of statistics learning. So with that in mind, like our current target audience is sort of intro level stats learners and teachers who are looking for sort of companion tools when you're running lab work, or just a general learning tool to enhance your learning. So I'm going to flick over to the app. And so on the homepage, you're presented with the option to choose the topic that you want to work with. So I'm going to start just by showing a quick rundown of the descriptive stats. For each topic, we try to provide as many options as we can in terms of using data that you want. So here you can either enter your raw data or upload a data file. You can choose the descriptive stats that you want to see. So I'm just going to choose select all. And then we have different graphing options as well. So then once we hit calculate, you're presented basically with your full table of all of the stats divided by a category. And then depending on what you've chosen, we also provide formulas and show specifically how the formula was worked through with the values using your data, which is important for other topics as well, because I think when you're following along as a learner, oftentimes if you're using a software that just sort of provides you with a single box that has your answer, and your answer has deviated, like you don't have any guidance on sort of where you've been led astray or where you went wrong. So you basically just have to start fresh. And that's sort of what we want to avoid and what we mean by saying simplifying stats, whereas this way you can follow along and identify exactly where you've gone wrong. If we look at the graphing options, so you're presented with whatever graphs you've chosen, and where appropriate, we try to provide customization options as well. just so you can tailor the visuals as you please. If we move over to Statistical Inference, and I'm going to run a chi-square test. This way I can really show what we mean by detailed workflows. So here we print your observed frequency tables using the data you've provided. We show our calculated expected frequencies table. We show the full table of calculations you need to derive your statistics using the two tables that we've provided here. And then we set up a full workflow for running the hypothesis test. So we set up your null alternative hypotheses. We show the formula and work through it for deriving the test statistic. We come to a conclusion using both a p-value method and a critical value method, which includes plotting the critical value. And then we interpret the conclusion based on the results so that there's really no sort of mystery as to what happened here and how we arrived at a conclusion. So I'm going to flick back. So right now we're sort of sitting at an intro level for those topics. Moving forwards, we're looking to move into more advanced territory, so sort of master's level and then beyond that. So we're looking at adding multiple linear regression, nonparametric statistics, logistic regression. And then beyond that, we also want to explore sort of implementations for AI and machine learning. So specifically what I mean by that, we're thinking sort of having a single tab where you upload a data set, and then we sort of run a pre-analysis on your data so that we can derive just some summary statistics automatically, but then also sort of provide suggestions and recommendations of what analysis your data looks like it is appropriate for, just based on running it in the background so that you know, the user has a lot less to do on their end and they're sort of presented with this opportunity to explore their data. You know, as was said in the intro, this project has been funded through MRU, so I just want to quickly shout out both grants, which was the Student Research Grant and the Provost Teaching and Learning Enhancement Grant. And again, you can access the app on CougarStats.ca or on GitHub if you want to pull the code. So that is sort of the end of my presentation. I think I may have rushed that a little bit, but are there any questions?
Thank you, Michael. You did great. Right, so we have two questions. So we have one from June 1. Did the application for iOS use R and Shiny?
No, so the iOS is being developed sort of separate from what I'm doing. So I think my supervisor is working with his brother, but it's not using R. They're sort of mimicking what we're doing on our main application on their own.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answers your question. Then we have another question from Nicole. How big of a data set can be used in the app?
So in terms of how we're hosting, I haven't robustly tested it because at that point, the biggest constraint is going to be the hosting infrastructure. And because we are sort of like we don't have any funding to do the web hosting, it's all being paid for on our own. The resources there are a little minimal, but locally, like if you pull the code and run your own machine, unfortunately, I don't really have a satisfactory answer to give you a specific value, but it essentially would almost be limited to what your machine can handle, to my knowledge.
All right. I think we can take the last one really quick and then we'll call it. So does the app produce R code? This is from Dongwan.
Does it produce R code? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's not particularly clear. Okay, so please, the person who asked the question, could you please expatiate in the chat? And I think that's all the time we have for today. Michael will answer any other questions in the chat, and he'll also be available on the Shiny for All Slack channel to respond to any other questions that come up. So thank you so much, Michael, for sharing your application with us, and we'll go on a quick break. So see you in 10 minutes.